Welcome to Next Level Greatness, the podcast. Around here, we'll be talking about all things expansion, going from good to great and from great to greatness. I'm your host, Barbie Collab. Get ready for your next level. Let's do this.
Welcome to Next Level Greatness, the podcast. I am sitting by the pool today and it's early in the morning. You might hear a few barks. You might hear some little birdies singing, but my heart is calling to say, bring on this podcast in the quiet, in the stillness. And I have to tell you, I am not super into astrology, although I'm beginning to really see how true it is and how impactful it is. But let's begin. Today is about going through darkness or a tough period, coming out to see the light, and about an energetic support team. So in May, I had an incredible May. So I've talked a lot about my health and how I pace myself. And so one of my mastermind friends and another friend actually pointed out that I always say things like, okay, I don't know if I can do that because I don't know how my energy is going to be. And I've been overly cautious about my energy because I've been afraid to overdo it, because when I overdo it, it sets me back. So I took that reflection and I was like, gosh, it's true. I'm always affirming that I'm afraid to be tired. I'm afraid to overdo it. And guess what happened? I started feeling amazing. I had the best May ever. I was just on fire. We had the podcast party. I manifest the course. I mean, I was just like, it was amazing. And then also as far as working out, I normally just work out once a week, twice a week, and that was a lot. But because I was feeling so good, I started working out 3 times a week. You can already see where this is going. And then normally I only allow myself to do like a Zoom call and to be on a Zoom call where I'm talking once a week, maybe twice a week. But then I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. Really, I'm good. So all these things compounded. And then I had a photo shoot May 28th. And then the day after, I feel like I just crashed. And when I'm recording this, we're past mid-June. The month of June has kicked my butt. Like I have just been exhausted. I overdid it. And I've talked about the healing journey. How it's up, down, up, down, up, down, trending upwards if you do the right things. And I've talked about the importance of pacing yourself. And I definitely didn't pace myself. I just was riding the momentum. And this is really tough because now I feel like I took a few steps back, at least physically, it feels that way. And then on top of that, with astrology, apparently the new moon in Taurus, I think it was called at the end of the month, it brought up a lot of like old patterns. And I started having all these like crazy dreams about my past and like my dad who passed away and just reviewing things in my life. I was like, what the heck? That was really, really intense. And we just had the new moon in Gemini, which is also supposed to be about leaving the past behind and new beginnings. And now I'm beginning to take this astrology thing seriously. And I'm like, all right, let me set some new intentions. And I've been really looking at old systems, old ways of doing things. And I was also in touch with one of my friends, Jen Norlin, who has been a guest on this podcast. She's a human design expert, and my Chiron is returning. I don't even know what that means, but basically I know it's like in human design, there are 3 phases. And one of the phases, I don't know if it's just for generators, but one of the phases is you're coming off the roof, like after all this integrated lived experience, you come off the roof and you're like, all right, now you're a role model and you're ready to really like be a role model to the world and teach. And I thought my Chiron returning, which was on June 28th, was going to be like a party. Like, yes, everything is going to be so smooth. I'm going to know it all. And like now life begins. Now the party begins. And I've been saying I'm going to do a Chiron party. I still might. But I reached out to Jen yesterday and I was like, Jen, I feel like I got hit by a freaking truck. Oh my Lord. This energy is like heavy. And I'm like sad. And I'm like reviewing all these life things. I'm like thinking about all the people that I love that have passed, my mistakes, and how I want to move forward. And she was like, yeah, the energy is big. The Chiron return has to do with like generational trauma and healing. And I also have this app on my phone called The Pattern. And it was saying that I'm in a cycle. This whole year is a cycle of healing. And I'm like, oh my Lord. They're like, now is the time to like slow down, go deep within and reflect. And I was like, oh Lord. My friend who also pulls cards, Celia, she pulled a card a few months ago and she was like, now is the time to really do some deep reflection. Make sure you don't overdo it. And I was like, okay. But I forgot about it. And I sent her a message and I was like, oh, you are right. So what is my point with all this? I think sometimes we have this idea of how things are supposed to be and we have to stay open and trust. And the first point that I want to make is that through the darkness, because it really felt like I went through something big, through the darkness, keeping the faith that there is a light and that something beautiful is going to come out through the other side. I have a friend that I'm in a mastermind with, Elizabeth Ashley. She just changed her name to her birth name. And she has a master class called The Portal of Miracles. And I love that because that's exactly what it is. Through the darkness, there is a portal of miracles. Like it's being able to hold yourself, to walk yourself, and to ask for support when you need it so that you can actually get to the other side of, go through the portal into the miracles. And so something that I had not noticed, and maybe because I didn't notice it, this is the second point, maybe the reason I didn't notice it is because I can do it myself. I've always been so independent. I've never really tapped into the support of other women who are on a journey like myself. And the past few days, number one, because I belong to a mastermind with very evolved women who are emotionally intelligent, who are running thriving businesses and who are going through life, like just the ups and downs of life, the ebbs and flows. And so I see that is normal. And so having a community where you can be supported, whether it's a mastermind, whether it's friends. So I wanted to share with you what my support system looks like, because yesterday I found myself asking, like, how do people do it when they don't have support? And if you don't have support, this is something and it's an invitation for you to start creating it, because I've always had some friends, but to have the kind of energetic support that I have now is so beautiful and so uplifting that I want others to have this as well. And it took a while, right? Because you attract who you are. So if you've been someone that is negative and always complaining, well, I bet you're going to find people that are negative and always complaining. So you have to change so that you can become a match for people that are uplifting and emotionally intelligent. And I just want to tell you, it's worth the inner work. Inner work is not always a walk on the beach, sunshines and rainbows. Sometimes it's like pretty damn dark and hard. So my energetic support team, I'm part of a mastermind. I put myself in a space where I am with women who are evolved and who are spiritual and who are soul-led. That's important to me. And you can find that. You do your research before you join a mastermind or a community even. And I do have a mastermind. This one is for women, but you can reach out to me if you're interested in that. I don't want to get into that right now. The second thing is I have a success partner, and it was divine timing. She found me, Monique Lumet, and she reached out to me a while ago, and I kind of just ignored it. And then she reached out to me again. We're in a program together in Melanie Ann Layer's world. And she said, I just think that we have a lot to offer each other. And so we began partnering with each other. And so we message each other, not daily, but almost daily. And we just talk about our business and our desire to lead soul-led businesses. We talk about our challenges. Sometimes we cry. I'm Latina, she's Latina, and in Spanish, the word is chillona, somebody who's like whiny and crying. And sometimes we just take turns like crying about things and laughing and masterminding and giving each other ideas. And this is totally free. One day we'll probably offer a master class on how to find a success partner that is a match. And we created a note in our notebook, in our phone, where we write down ideas. And we really are just so transparent, but we're not crabs in a bucket. This is such an important point. Because sometimes, like, let's say you're going through a hard time and you reach out to someone and they're like, yeah, that sucks. And then you find someone to commiserate with, and then you just drag each other down. The point of a success partner or a mastermind or a friendship is to lift each other up and to acknowledge each other, to witness each other like, okay, I see you, you're going through a tough time, but this is not meant to last forever, right? And I'm here so that you can rise. I'm here to listen to you and maybe offer some insight so that you can rise. And this is what this podcast is. So this is part of your energetic support team. And then I have another friend, Vanessa, who she's also been on this podcast, who we talk about, and she's also a human design expert and she does so many things. I don't really know how to pinpoint that. What you just heard is the doggies jumping into the pool. So we talk about truth. We talk about the truth of our soul and how to find that and how to be in it. And we have just really deep and enlightening conversations, and we give each other that support. So a friendship, a mastermind, success partners, any group, it's not just about what can I get from this and also what can I receive, but it's reciprocal. And then finally, I belong to a community, different communities where I go in and I tap into inspiration and wisdom. So we have the magnetic portal, but you find a community that is right for you. And I listen to podcasts. I just recently started listening to Jacqueline Shaw. It's called The Jacqueline Shaw Show. I also listen to Molly McCord's Intuitive Astrology podcast, which is beautiful. And that's it. And also on top of that, this week I reached out to some friends that are body partners because I've been really wanting to revamp my body business. And I'm excited to tell you that on a different episode, to be truly in alignment with who I am as a human being right now. And so I've tapped into all these different spaces, all these different human beings that I've been able to attract and connect with because of who I am. So as we close out, really think about who you're being, who you want to step into, and where you can start plugging into, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a group, whether it's a community that you can begin to be a part of, and go in there, like I said, not looking to get this needy energy, but looking to give, looking to support, looking also to be supported. It actually happens quite naturally. It's not like, oh, I'm going to give so I can get. It's not like that. And you're going to figure it out. You're going to walk yourself through it. One thing that I forgot to mention, which is really the most important part, is that I wasn't constantly reaching out to people to give me advice or talk things out. No, I spent a lot of time in silence. We tend to get so busy. We tend to always be looking for answers outside of ourselves, whether we're taking a million courses or listening to a million podcasts or just being super busy, that shuts out our own inner voice and what it is that our soul truly wants, what our soul is saying. And so I've been spending a lot of time in silence, a lot of time just reflecting. And like I said, it's not always easy. It's not always pretty. I encourage you to journal. I encourage you to quiet down, listen to music, go for a walk, but just listen to your soul. I hope that you found this episode helpful with the little birdies, with the barking, with the pool. You can absolutely walk yourself through any dark moments or periods that feel dark. The light is there. And when the light appears, you always have an opportunity, but you can give birth to something really beautiful. I know this was a different kind of episode. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you think that this will help someone, I would love for you to share this episode. Write to me, tag me, let me know any breakthroughs that you have or had, are having, and I will see you next week. If you loved this episode and if you're loving my podcast, I would love for you to leave a review. They really do make a difference in spreading the word and having more people be impacted. Also, I'd love for you to join me in my Facebook community called The Magnetic Portal. You can find the link in the show notes. I'll see you next time.